Hey guys and girls, it's Omar. It's 7 a.m. here in Denver, Colorado. And let's get right into it. Stay tuned. I'm excited to share this one. This is going to be a more simple nurture email. Let me minimize this right here. Boop, 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 boop. I am a boomer at heart. Okay, perfect. Oh, oh, oh. All right. So this one specifically, there we go. You don't need to see much of my face. Okay. So this one specifically is by John Carlton, who is, one of the greatest of all time in marketing and writing. And he's known as the most ripped off copywriter alive. So his style, as you'll see, is just very engaging, and he has a unique style that it's kind of hard to stop reading, which is why he's like been very successful. And he's like 70 now, and yeah, he's the same way that he is in his writing. I was lucky enough to be on a call with him once and get some advice, and yeah. Anyways, let's hop right into the email. Who cares about my uh, personal story there? So, again, this is from John Carlton. The title is, or the subject line is going to be "Pack more power into your copy." Okay, so nothing too crazy here. This is a relevant, personally relevant, and rewarding subject line for the ICA, the Ideal Client Avatar. So if you're writing to your email list, what you want is to make sure that your subject line hits at least one of four things. It's personally relevant, emotionally engaging, pleasurable or rewarding, novel or unexpected. So who's he writing to? Let's think about that for a second. He's writing to um, most likely other copywriters, entrepreneurs, freelancers, marketers of some sort. That's his ICA, right? People like me. So I'm going to be the person that buys from him. And I have many times because he has great offers. And this is how he sells. What he's doing here is he's nurturing, as you'll see. Sometimes you don't need to just directly sell in your emails. And matter of fact, you shouldn't. It can be like 80-90% conversational and 10% selling. And matter of fact, you want to do that because Google doesn't like when you just sell. That's how you end up in the promotions tab. So there's a whole science behind that. There's a bunch of robotics happening in the background with email service providers and algorithms and all that shit. So that's what we're doing with that's what he's done with the subject line. Let's move on. So now you have the context as a nurture email, and let's see what he does. So, howdy. I fell deeply in love with the act of writing as soon as I began learning the alphabet. So he's starting with his own little story. It's engaging. It's a little hook right there, right? And right away he says, the problem, I am not a naturally gifted writer at all. So this is a huge twist if you read his writing. You'd think that he's like been born with it. He's born with it, right? But no, he's telling you, no, that's not the case. And let's keep going. So, case in point, I wrote a terrifically horrible little novella in the sixth grade based on the Mars Attacks bubblegum card series. Then, at age 13, I wrote several short stories based on my post adolescent twist on James Bond. Just brutally awful stuff. I mean, what the hell does a 13-year-old know about drinking vodka and slaying women with a wink? Not a damn thing. So this is just fun. I'm like, this is just fun to read. Like, it's entertaining. He's shooting the shit. It's y- y- your copy needs to be conversational and like you're talking to your bro or sis, whatever, like your friend, right? That's who is gonna want to buy from you. People are tired of just people selling to them without building a relationship. And that's why email marketing is so powerful. This is what you get. You just have someone who's just shooting the shit, right? And just being a person and just writing and sharing their story, right? So That's all this is. Nothing too crazy, right? He's just talking about his own thing. And you're thinking, if you're, a copywriter reading this, you're thinking, okay, well, like, how did he get better? The curiosity is starting to build up. So, moving on, my grammar sucked. So I'm sure I almost flunked English several times, right? So he's setting up his point with his own story here, right? He's getting to it. Luckily, I had an inkling on how to tell a story. And yet, the harder I tried to write, the worse I got. So this is relatable again to the ideal client avatar, his readers who he's targeting. It doesn't matter if you're talking to copywriters or if you're talking to people, that come to your laundromat, you know. Weird example, but like, you just have to talk to their problem, talk to them and what their problem is. So I'm reading this and it's like, I've been there as a writer. I've been there, and I've had to rewrite things for days, and he's gonna get into why this is a thing, right? So my stories became bloated with tangents and flowery language that would have choked a Victorian, right? So, a little metaphor there. And that's a problem that writers face. So, you know what saved my ass? Advertising. All my heroes, Claude Hopkins, John Caples, David Ogilvy, wrote in a similar manner. These are, if you're not familiar, these are authority figures. These are the people that, like, Claude Hopkins is the guy that was like, you need to test your marketing. Before the 1920s, when Hopkins came around, we didn't test anything. We just, like, guessed with marketing. So this guy changed the game. You know, so did David Ogilvy. So did John Caples. Right? These are, legends. And he's saying, like, he's using them almost as proof here. Right? We've talked about this in the first video too. Is like, you have to back everything you say with proof. Right? If you're making a point, back that stuff with proof. Right? So sparse, on target, absolutely no BS or tangents allowed. I had an epiphany about 5 minutes into my first ad. As a rookie, I'd been writing, I've been trying to goose the power of my writing with adjectives. See, I love, like, these verbs are just goose the power. I don't know if this is like a guy, because like an older thing, like a 70s thing. I don't know, but I love that shit. I love, it's just personality in writing who, you don't think of using verbs like that. Power verbs, they call it. So, again, this is all very relatable. Too many of those beasts in your writing sounds like a vapid valley girl, and we know what that sounds like. You don't really need to say much more, but that's a great freaking simile, right? Good similes really make your writing visceral, and make your copy easier to read and more fun to read. So it was so, like, amazing. Really, really amazing and fabulous beyond belief. It just rocked. It's my yeah, my Valley Girl impression. So don't come at me, Valley Girls, if you can do it better. Uh so adjectives hurt your writing more than they help it. Again, that's his point. So here's your tip for today. Strip all adjectives from your next attempt at sales copy. Every last buggery one. Write in simple, unadored sentences with zero effort to fluff it up. This is the stuff that we all do here as writers, right? Whether you've been writing, you're a professional, you just write. It's, for some reason, we just want adjectives, we want adverbs. I think it's like our schooling, like we think we should be adding them, right? And guess what? Your writing instantly becomes more irresistible, which is very true if you've tried to do this before. It literally gives your writing more power when it's more, quote, basic, right? When it feels like that, you get to the point faster. You don't bore the reader with tangential language, and keeps you on that line of logic. Now, yes, all the top writers occasionally use adjectives, often in headlines. Where would any of us grizzled old veterans be today without the word amazing? Which like is a really good point because like in your headlines, your most important, you need to get the headline right to get them to actually read your message. Um, you know, um, Sometimes you use that, and he's saying it's not black and white, and and this is like protecting his own point here by saying like I've done it, but generally speaking, you don't want to do it too much. So but every sentence should thrive without adjectives. Those nasty things must earn their way into your pitch. Treat them like nitroglycerin. Use sparingly and only when absolutely called for. So that's another good simile. And look at this. Just look at this for a moment. Like the cool thing about writing is you can bend the rules a little bit. You don't need to think of your freaking sixth grade teacher who yelled at you for, you know, not writing in cursive and not using the right adjectives and whatnot. Like you can use choppy sentences. And if you're writing to your own list, that's something you can play around with, as you can see here. So he does a really good job of that. Bend the rules, no matter what you're doing, man. Bend the rules. That's something I'm learning as well. That's what gives your stuff a little bit of personality. Such a simple thing, but it helps you yank your readers into your ads and refuse to let them go. Stay frosty. So he's just saying like this is an easy thing to do for a big reward, which is true. Like this is a very easy tip. And look at this email. We're almost at the end here. This is just value, storytelling, value, teaching. That is where your nurturing and your email marketing really shines. And it's just an ongoing effort. And that's why, like, you either write them yourself or you hire someone to write them. It's really that simple because you try writing this all with AI and get back to me on that, right? You've got to have personality. And if you're using AI, I'm not saying it's wrong. You definitely need to know how to write because you'll just shorten the time and you'll still put your personality into it. But stuff like this, you can tell it's just it's his voice. So I got a little tangential there. So stay frosty, John. So P.S. If you've got the writing down pat, but still lack the confidence as a copywriter marketer, here's what's missing: salesmanship. Shocker, I know. But you can brush up on those skills with this free training right here. So, boom, you can give that value and you can make sales. What he's saying is he's calling out the ICA. The person that's reading this, if you're the problem with most of the people that he's reading, right? They're saying if you lack confidence, here's what's missing: salesmanship. And that's his whole thing. That's his key differentiator. He's big on this is it's better to be at sales if you're going to do copywriting than it is to be a good writer, because the fundamentals of writing are actually kind of easier to nail down than the fundamentals of salesmanship, persuading someone to take action, right? So, and that's how he's differentiating his product. And this is a free training, but if you know anything about marketing, you know things about funnels. And this funnel is going to lead to this thing is going to lead to his simple writing system. And there you have it. That is this email. Nurture like a pro is what I'm calling this one. And John Carlton is the best at it. I tell you what, I read every single one of his emails 80% of the time. Sometimes I'm bombarded with millions of emails and I can't. But seriously, I'm reading almost all of his emails. And that's because it's very easy to read. This probably took me 2 minutes to read, if that. And it was very fun to read. And guess what? It still is selling you something at the end of the day. But look at it. It's in the PS line, right? Versus the last email we looked at where the entire thing was kind of about the product, which is okay too if you're launching something or if you're in your, evergreen phase. So I hope this was helpful. Whether you're writing to your list, whether you're learning the craft, um, you can always break down some copy and learn the psychology behind it. No matter how casual it seems, right? This is what marketers do. So I will see you here tomorrow for the next lesson. Have a good Tuesday and take care.